Okay, I set up the British pound here in a 4-hour chart and a 1-hour chart. And I'm using RSI 3 period with a 70 and a 30 zone. And I'm using CCI, Commodity Channel Index, set at 4, and it's set to close. It's not set to the standard smoothing. It's just set to close, which is how RSI runs. So I'm just using the sharpest, most sensitive settings. RSI, if you put it on 2, it just looks like this over here, so that probably wouldn't be a little tough to see patterns. But at 3, you basically got hypersensitivity, and CCI, if you go to 3, it looks like this over here, not so good. So on 4, you still got dimensionality, you still got the divergences and the counter divergences, the inversion of a divergence, which is Andrew Cardwell calls it a reversal, positive negative reversals. But if you treat CCI the way he's treating RSI, then you get a little edge. There's more trades, which means there's more risk, but there's more, I think there's more better trades. But that's just, I've spent a lot of time looking at this system, and I would call these not indicators, but I call them filters, because I'm filtering price entry, so just to stay out of trouble. Now I look back here, if you just a simple rule system that you only buy CCI below 100 and you only sell it above 100. The problem is when the market goes into a trend mode, all these sells here, if you sold every time CCI is above, you're getting killed. So you would have to have a filter for trend. But I'm not sure you need a moving average. This is just the closing price. I think it's painfully obvious it's going up. And if it's not going up, it's not going down. So if you sold this, if you did sell that and you had a tight stop, the market really wasn't moving that hard, so you got stopped out of that. So you literally would have got stopped out of this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. But you got stopped out. I'm imagining you, if you turn on the candles, you probably got a pretty snug stop out. You didn't get annihilated too bad, because when you started to get these sell signals, like this one here. So if you sold this, unfortunately you got to draw it up here. Guess where you're at. So yeah, you sold this candle and you had a stop above that candle. So it's an up candle, you sold, you got stopped out. But what if you had taken the other side of that trade and been a non-biased trader, a non-directional trader? What would have happened to you there? So as you're looking at these things, and if you built a robot that sells over bots and buys oversolds, it's just going to get clean. It's going to get smashed when the market goes into a trend mode. But the market only trends 20% of the time, so the CCI is going to work great if you're range trading. So this situation here, if you kind of scan for entries, and you're just looking for these. Okay, now here CCI is below, and that was like the last chance to get on the up train. Really, it never looked back after that. If you do a reversal, which looks like this, like a positive reversal, you kind of have to go to the line chart for it, just so you can kind of see the pattern. But it's basically you're more oversold, but you're at a higher price than the previous situation here. So you have this point, and let's try to cue this up. And you're queuing it to here. And you compare this price to this price back here. And you've got a top bottom here. So you have this confluence. This double top becomes a bottom. If you turn on the candles, you definitely got filled on that if you had pendings in this zone. Because when this one spiked back, you got filled just on top bottomness. When it pulled back here, and you got this thing here, even if you didn't get in here, if you have buy limits instead of trailing stop entries, instead of trailing stops, in other words, most people, if they'd drawn a trend line here, and they said I'm bullish, okay, even the guy that got in late here because he heard it was bullish, and it's probably going to be bullish for a couple hours or a couple days, right? So he still has a chance. He could still just trade like a moron and just keep placing buy stops there and just keeps getting filled. And really, I can hardly even see a 10 pip pullback here. He could have run. You could have run on this run here, literally a trailing stop of 20 pips and not got stopped out for half of the week. Once you took out the apex of this triangle here, and you have this situation in CCI and RSI where you have more oversold, higher price, and you just kind of have to keep switching back to here to see that the cleanliness of the pattern. And then here you have the same situation where you have more oversold and it's a higher price, so you're comparing this to that, this little notch in here, and you can't see it too well here with the candles on. It's kind of a messy, because you're gonna look at that spike on that and you're gonna say, yeah, but I would have got stopped out. Well, hopefully you're running a 10, 15, 20 trailing orders that last for 4 hours, and you kept dropping every 4 hours. You kept dropping these buy stops, or you just kept buying at the market, with a trailing stop of 20, 30 pips or whatever, and just kept on. This thing just kept on gnawing away up. But if you wanted to have a little bit more precision, this is Sunday night here, this is Friday. The next level of precision is to come over to the 1 hour and find this entry on the 1 hour, which is right here. I try to queue these up. They both start on February 4th. So in other words, this big spike down by here on the 4 hour, if you're basically doing a zoom of 4x here, 4 times away from, because you have a 1 hour here, 4 hour there, and so you have to hunt down that entry on this guy, which I think is let's see, it puts you about right here is the big sell-off in the where you get the CCI, and then you get a reversal here in RSI also. It's kind of a long-legged reversal here, right here, and right here is the other reversal where you're more oversold and you're at a higher price in comparison. So you're looking for this inversion here. So it's not really a divergence in the sense that you would like this divergence here. This is a it's momentum's dying out and it just made a new high, but you're getting divergence, which means you're about to get a reversal. So you get this, and you get like a triple here. I got that, and that coincides with this one here. And to project that, you're gonna take this and find the highest close in there. It gives you a projection to that. So another 50 pips on the 4 hour. Well, while that's going on, of course, this is taking forever to set up. You know, it's like watching paint dry, and you can hardly believe it. And over here, you could always have the candles on here and see that how your limit orders would have filled beautifully on your kickback, 10 to 15, 20 pips scattered, bias to the upside, certainly risking 20 pips to make 40, risking 30 pips to make 60 pips, and a whole array of different things going on there to get you in. And if you're only buying when RSI is below 70, so you're only pulling the trigger on here, or you have a pending at the big round handle. The blue ones are just big dumbass round handles because it's so dumb. And you know, you got your trend line here, but if you're only pulling the trigger this whole time, even if you're selling here, you know, I mean, it's not to say you can't fade that. Selling up into that, totally, you know, all that stuff. I love that trade actually. You know, sell it. You know, it's going to jump back, but then you're like, you know, it's only good for a scalp because in the end, it's probably going to churn up, and then so you're going to do a lot of trading. You're not really over trading if you only pull the trigger on these situations where RSI is below. Here, RSI is below. CCI is also below 100. Here, CCI gave you more entries. So CCI is going to give you more trades. But if you're in an uptrend, even a drifting uptrend, these are killer entries. There was never a better price. It never took out that low. It held the 100 handle. And at this point in the picture here, you're in this drift here. So you're getting this at the time this nonsense is going on. All these entries, you're getting confirmation that, yeah, this is the pattern you look for in the larger time frame. So this thing is constantly evolving, and yeah, it's totally possible to trade this real time. And this is not back testing it. I'm not back testing it. I'm looking to see that these reversals. Okay, now here's the key. What all these reversals that have been happening are creating a trend line that is going to be broken eventually. And this 4-hour chart, or at least be tested, it's really starts to. I don't want to change any time frames here, but if you can kind of see the picture, what's going on here, this rollover that just keeps happening again and again here. It's as if it's the undertow is this thing takes out these things and keeps gnawing. You know, they say it's the war of attrition, the market, so it's grinding. And it keeps grinding and grinding, and then it eventually is all filled up with this price. This price is, it's done, it's cooked, it's baked. Well, okay, you know, you can passively enter the crush at the end of this thing by placing sell stops below. So when it does cave in, it just picks you up along the way. Now, had you done that in the stock market sell-off 2008, that strategy was basically you made a mint. If you're, you know, all your moving averages on this are pointing up by now, and people are thinking, yeah, maybe there's one more gust of wind left in this thing. And certainly, if you're a short-term trader, you don't care. You really don't care about all that because you're really just making money on this stuff all day. Bam, bam, up, down, because in this world, there really isn't a trend. Yeah, okay, there's a 100 pip blast here, but if you just scalped that and got out, you don't, those people don't like to sit in this kind of slowly creeper gear drifting up. That's something else. Of course, there was a triangle here that formed. This is when you were getting these beautiful things here, and you would have just pulled the damn trigger here. I mean, it's not, these are, even if you just have money management, you're making money on these things, okay? Because you buy an RSI every time it's below. Of course, this is a little bit of work because you got to be looking at this 1 hour chart, right? Or check it every hour, every couple of hours. Of course, if you're lazy and you miss it, that's, I guess you want to have some pendings to pick up, but CCI is not below, but right here, this window never got any lower than that. That was rock bottom. That was the bottom, and you're buying bottoms. You're picking bottoms all the way along this whole chain up. Here's CCI just smashed below 100. Did you pull the trigger? You're at the 50. You got, if you turn the candles off, you got double top become bottom. RSI is almost below 70, definitely here. You have to buy. You just have to buy here. Nothing you can do about it, right? That's your rule. CCI confirms. RSI, you buy again. Bam. You just made 50 pips, okay? Then you're starting to get divergence here in CCI. This is overbought. I wouldn't be selling that, but I would sell a little bit. I definitely have pendings up here. You just don't know. You don't know if this is going to, of course, to me, every blue one, I'm going to sell a bounce off of that just for a scalp, if nothing else. But to have the patience to wait for a triangle to form, or for at least CCI get below. So let me just mark off all the CCI belows, below 100 and almost below there. So this pullback here, and then of course if you turn the candles on, you'll be a little horrified. Some of these aren't too bad though. This is a pretty decent market, except for this spike here on the 1 hour, which didn't give you here. If you were buying this whole time, you would have bought. Now CCI, I think it's going to pick up the lows, even though you haven't set the close. But look at this. Pretty much after the spike that you got in, so you really weren't involved in that drama. And then let's see, this is a triple. You would have had to buy 3 here if you pulled the trigger, because these have got 3 CCIs below happening here, and all this RSI is below. So all these underwater guys here, and you also have confirmation here on the 4 hour. CCI is below, so you're loading up the wagon here early on, and let me see if I can go blow this up. So why were you getting on there? Well, you certainly, okay, so here's when the reversals become failures. Now if you mapped out the reversals on the way down, the same thing happens on the way down. Let me just pick out the reversals here. This is, as it's falling down, it's like, I don't know, it's like when you run down a hill, you have to kind of lean back. So RSI is kind of leaning back as you tumble down. Now the same thing here is, see this divergence. People bought this, right, because it coincides with this, and you're right at the 50 handle, and you're getting divergence. But then when that fails, you have this, it sets up into this reversal here, where now RSI is up, prices down, whereas before, you know, you have a inversion here in the other direction. Now for the CCI buys, you I would hope that you at this point realize that the trend's going down. I mean, I think if only a trend line would tell you that we're going down. This was the hope for the bulls. This was the hope. This was the hope. And this looks like the last hope. Once you took that out, and then that became a top, and then you had the whole confluence here. So here's the notch, the turn point, and now you expect this to be the in other words, this 1, 2, 3 wave, and now you are looking for divergences. You kind of get one here, rock bottom. You get another attempt. Okay, so now here is where everything turns over, because at this point you're getting a reversal here, albeit very brutally smashed into the ground. I mean, it's like that now. And then here is one more reversal. Now at this one you can see at this point one more reversal. Now I'm sure that people were speculating that this is just literally going to go to hell. The British pound's going to go to hell. The world's coming to an end. And I can only imagine what all of the newspapers look like as you're going down this channel. But the failure of this reversal, or this becoming I guess this is the last known reversal. This is the new change or rollover point. So this is the big key, and you also have I guess you could make the argument for a failed reversal here, albeit long-legged, but now this divergence is happening off of this guy, right? So that divergence now, it's like if you had been drawing a trend line on the RSI this whole time, you would have got the first rollover in the indicator RSI, the 3 period, and when you drew the same points on the chart for the other trend, like if you were to try to find that on this, where that RSI is, it's kind of way out here. So RSI is getting you into earlier because you're getting this guy here, this kind of pattern where you break the trend line and then you find support at it, and then you're free from that channel. You're out of that channel. Like you could put a channel in RSI. So you could say, look at we're in the channel, and then we make this a little more easier to see there. And then you roll over, and here's when it takes over. And now you're looking for you don't see any more divergences to sell, but you're looking for the first pullback, which in Elliott wave, the first reversal would be wave 1. And so it's going to give you wave 3. It's going to give you the big move. So when you see this as wave 3 of some type, it comes out of a reversal in RSI. So you're keying off this. I normally run these more vertical, but I was trying to cue it up with the other time frame, and that you could do the same, walk through back here, Of course, this looks a little what people would call noisy, but I think if you hunt down the reversals here, it's a little easier to go on a hunt, start off on line, and then just fill in the candles to see if it would have worked out for you. But I think here, if you accept that you're in a downtrend, at least at this point, you had your say triangle here, symmetrical triangle failure, and you're like, wow, if we take this out, yikes. You could either play defense with stop entries, or you sold this this pivot here where this bottom becomes a top and then it gets really narrow. But if you're looking for confirmation, or you're looking to just have an excuse to pull the trigger, and there's nothing like that. That's why God invented machine guns. But you sell here, every time RSI is above 70, every time CCI is above 100, you're already getting in. You're getting in. In fact, during these range modes, you're making bank just on every time you buy CCI below 100, and tight stop on that, you would have got killed on this one. And this is why you could never build a robot to do this stuff, because a robot is literally going to pull the trigger and buy all of these, and he's going to sell all of these up here, and I don't know how you would tell him not to. But this is a dicey area here, but if you drill down on this thing, you can see if you only trade reversals without regard to trend, you see these three here. The CCI gives you 3 reversal buys there, so those 3 tags where it's becoming more oversold and the price is going up, and you're comparing that to this thing here. And so you go into the range mode where you literally could buy and sell that. Now CCI is the most beautiful range trading filter in the world here, and you're just like, oh, this is beautiful. But then Collapsola, and of course, it's a 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart, probably took out a big deal. Big holes got to be filled here, and I think everybody can see that the getting very quiet, and now we're off to the races. So if you feel like you missed the train, the first place to get on, if you didn't sell into that, you could still play the 50 pip bounce off of that once it come down and got this stuff. Now the looking at just selling on the CCI above 100s, it would be you would already be selling a couple before you even got into that breakout. So you have like a lot of orders. I mean, you've got entries that you got into because of the breakout. You got entries because this was on the clock. You sold into this. This is a previous. This is a big round number there. So definitely, once that can't hold, and then you're selling every. If you just hunt down these with the candles off, you see all these sell entries, and you turn them on to see what that would look like in the real world, and you may not feel like selling there because you're like, hey, it's going up, what am I selling for? But it's a sell high buy low game, and you have to fight against your instinct, or it's counterintuitive trading. You really have to fight against what you feel like. I can't believe I'm selling this, I'm seeing divergence here, like, why am I selling? Well, if you just because you're selling because RSI is above 70 and CCI is above 100, and it just so happens to be a beautiful double top becoming bottom here, and of course moving average is a little laggy, and you just got your trend line in there, right? So and then you're like, wow, if we take that out, major collapse. Of course, the other side of the coin is that what if this is the end of the move and it's going to kick up? Well, of course, you got trailing stops of 20 pips maybe, or you don't have to trade, but certainly this one here, just before it does collapse, there's of course you would probably have this zoomed in, but I'm trying not to lose the format here, but there's triple reversal there, big clusters. You would see a lot of clusters on the 1 hour. 4 hour not so much, but more trustworthy and boring and higher probabilities on that. But you're also seeing it here on CCI. You're seeing it's getting more overbought as the price is fading, and I don't really see any divergences in here. And then once you fall through the floor there, then I would kind of start looking for just to play the bounce. Anytime the market collapses hard like this, it's time to consolidate or trade bounces. And then here's a nice divergence happening here. Kind of a stretched out on the RSI. So you figure this once this trend line's taken out, and here's the perfect rollover, it becomes that resistance becomes support on the trend line. But of course, if you were getting in ahead of the game, anticipating it, you've got a trend line on RSI here, and you kind of that's kind of hard on 3 period. I guess you'd have to really take that in steep. But if you're running like this, where you're doing this at a nice angle, so yeah, so you can see the it's kind of, it's like I said, right now, I'm selling up here, but I guess I'm scalping most of the time, because you're not going to get this move every day, like this big violent move like this. But you can kind of see the prelude to it as it's inching down. You're getting the I guess it'd be a descending triangle, or whatever you want to call it. And once it takes out this, you got this thing here where you're thinking, for the channel people that have a channel there, they're like, oh, it's going to bounce off of there, and then that becomes resistance. And but yeah, there's this plateau here is definitely the accumulation phase, and then we go back up, and then this is really quite the move. But I'm looking to let me change the scale here. This is how I normally would look at this thing, and then I would just have to tragically delete all that. But this is the way I'm looking at it. If I was going to trade this thing on the 1 hour into the current real time, or even a 15-minute here, like say you don't want to risk so much, you're not that guy, right? So can you trade the same thing on a 15? Well, hell yeah. A little more work, but actually the signals here look pretty dramatic. Amazingly, like this first reversal jumps out at me here. Kind of a classic. You can't even believe you could see this thing keyed off of this, but it's actually coming off of this. It looks really extreme on this, but it's that basically. And then this just huge pullback on the 15. My God, if you saw this, or you had an alarm set, you bought this below the and getting in here, CCI is below 100. CCI is also below 100 here. Yeah, it's a little different. This is like if you were to take a filter and apply it on a low frequency as opposed to high frequency, how big a difference that would be as far as perspective. So like a woofer, like you ever seen a woofer do like 30 hertz or 10 hertz, it literally just, you can't even hear it. You just see it moving really slow. You know, it's still a sound wave. But here there's, you know, there's going to be, let me go to half hour. That's a little ridiculous. Half hour, you'd be pulling the trigger, you know, and all these below, you know, 3 here, buy, you know, and you're buying as it's coming down, and you know, those people that sit there and look at a half-hour chart. Really, I mean, you know, why kill yourself, right? Why expose yourself to any more risk than is necessary? This whole insaneness here, I mean, this is tough sledding. I mean, if you're looking at this as opposed to the 4 hour, you know, but this is a news scalp. But look how this thing just, I got 25 pip horizontal lines in here. Tell me this isn't the most, look at this doji trapped in this 25 window. You know, you got to jump on this trade. You got to, this you do have to babysit the market, literally. But look at this doji. CCI's below. Actually, you got in before the doji, so you got in nice and early. If you had a 10 pip stop, I don't know what the spread went to on these news things. It's kind of hard to say because it's all nothing but bid prices. But wow, you have a chance to even get on this train. You know, you can set your CCI to buy below 80 instead of 100, because it looks like here your only entry would have been with CCI below would be here and here, and you kind of just have to say, when you're looking at a half-hour chart like this, man, is it too late to get on this thing? I don't know. I mean, this is kind of a lame drift. This is the end of the day. The next chance to get on would be, you know, I don't know, after a big move like that, you're just like, geez, man, you know, what now? So yeah, here's an entry. CCI is below. But man, you practically lose faith in that thing. And there was a triple. But if you just stuck to your thing and you kept pulling the trigger on all this stuff, you would have loaded up. Bam, bam, bam. You would have got in on these this filter, RSI, and you'd still, you know, you're trend trading that thing. And then here, let me just go to the daily here, because there's not as many signals, but just see the ones that did exist here. Of course, there's probably one. There's like 3 signals a year on a damn daily. Kind of boring. I don't know who would bother in a 24-hour market to really trade the daily, and but these would definitely be. There's some good setups in here. I guess the first one jumps out at me here is this real sharp reversal. I'm not going to look so much for CCI being below 100 because it's probably not going to happen too often on a daily chart, but this is a beautiful thing here, and this becomes a key later on. Certainly have the triple top. You have the you can run RSI a little bit less insane. It doesn't have to be on 3. I was just doing that for a sharp filter. Like here's a long stretched out reversal that's happening here. You know, anytime RSI is doing this thing, and you know, it's just a nice high probability trade that it's going to keep going up. No, not a ton of pips there. So then you get the divergence, and so that divergence makes some money, but it's typically going to set up for another reversal. So you're looking at you're fitting the more oversold, but price is still higher. Price holds this. This British pound's really a nice technical, and it's got more pips than more pip range than the euro dollar. Euro dollar is kind of like boring. So I don't know everybody, but there's so much liquidity there. As you turn the candles, see they're pretty tight too. Not a lot of spikes. Maybe just one spike here. It's pretty firm market. And this is just an amazing never look back. You know, every day up. You know, came down and chopped all these orders out. Got into this window. Got a nice divergence here on our on CCI. Got a 2-period guy here. See now CCI is getting in. It's calling a divergence off of these before the double bottom. You know, that CCI is just some crazy thing. When you set that on 4 and you look for divergences on the daily, anytime you get these sharp 2 periods, man, that's like you got a double bottom here and it's still collapsing. So buying it there is tough. You're gonna get your ass kicked. So buying below their zero. So you know, you just have to realize that once it took out this thing, you're taking a huge risk to buy. But then you got the divergence on this next candle. So 2 candles, you got double bottom. You bought here, not so bad. You bought in that first one, you just got clobbered. Of course, if you had a tight stop, you know, you only just got stopped out a little bit. But yeah, so this thing here, and then I don't know. I guess here's a nice. Of course, on the weekly, this is probably an amazing reversal here. We have this inversion, and it's holding up pretty well. It seemed to work here too. Here you got one off of here. Didn't bear too much fruit there. Finally kicked in here. So yes, if you go to the weekly, you can see that a lot cleaner, I think. You know, the weekly, you can see this zigzag here is these guys, but it's not the perfect indicator. I guess it's a filter to keep you out of trouble. In the end, it's always going to be about you know, the risk management of it all. But look at that weekly. Of course, here's the monthly, and then the monthly has a stellar 2-period reversal here. Of course, it was a little difficult to trade it because of the fact that if you turn the candles on here, there's a pretty wicked wick. I don't think you'd want to ride the 200 pip slam out of that. So, but you know, I mean, because that's why the limit entry thing comes into play. That you know, the market's not going to necessarily go like this after you buy it. It's probably going to do, you know, like this and then go like that. So, but look at this sharper indicator on the CCI on this reversal here. Just amazing sharpness. But yeah, I think we're going to have a big challenge up here. Of course, we could just keep cutting through this thing, and the next point to sell would bizarrely be way up in the hinterlands here, way off the reservation, up in this thing, up in this price. I can't imagine, but I suppose we could come up here. I don't think I'll make it there right away. Probably have to might pull back to the starting gate before we get up into those prices. But I suppose it's not undoable. I'm trying to get this scale refixed here. I suppose I put too many things on. But yeah, this bottom up in here. So I was trying to zoom in to see the. It's really hard to manipulate these MetaTrader sometimes. You know, anything really. But see, we haven't closed a gap there. You got about. Let's see how many pips you got to go here. Probably about, I think it was 150 pips I figured to make it to that bottom of that wick. So this is definitely the great, amazing volatility window here because of all the scalps that's set up in here. They're just this price here and then this one here. But it's funny how this window is such a, the price just seems to dip in and out of it. Whereas for the last, for all this stuff down here, all that bam, 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 and then it's just like, wow, this is like this giant pivot in the middle of this whole thing. And this sell-off here is just always the most mind-boggling in all these dojis and the just this, you know, this is the argument for you know, the old trees don't grow to the sky thing. And you know, wow, that was amazing, just amazing. Anyway, you slice it and then but golly, you know, who knows if we can ever take that out. I guess if you just made it back to here, this triple bottom here, that would be incredible. You know, of course it probably have to catch its breath, but yeah, I always wonder, you know, I mean, I don't know if I've got all the data in here, but I wonder what's going to happen in the next you know, 50,000 years here. I mean, where's this? It'd be funny, look like an IPO stock, you know. But yeah, I don't, that's unfortunate all the data I got back to 1992. But definitely, definitely too much fun. But the RSI, CCI filter, that's one way to trade it, I suppose, you know.